Hello, you hardcores out there. How are you doing? It's Russ here from Poker's Corner, biggest gob in sport. Today I'm joined by Kent from Belfast in Ireland. How you doing, Kent?
How's it going, Russell? You keeping okay? How you going?
How you been keeping?
Yeah, dead on. Just same old with me, Russell. Nothing, nothing new.
You're still a bachelor, Kent.
Yeah, yep, still am.
Are you still running?
Yeah, started back 2 weeks ago. Took a couple, just got lazy for a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
but I was still training, probably still training 12 times a week. So
Where do you run then, Kent?
I like doing a lot of off-road running. To be honest with you, I don't like really running in the roads anymore. It's just too frantic, and I don't really enjoy it. So go up, run around the trails, around the grass, up around the mountains and stuff. So I like trail running. I think it's a lot more peaceful and it's a lot better on the joints as well and more enjoyable. Far more enjoyable.
How far do you run, Kent?
At the minute, I'd probably do 3 to 4 runs a week, probably between 8 and 10K.
You must have
That's
strong,
that's
you must have strong legs then, Kent.
Yeah, probably would be my best attribute would probably be climbing. I'm a good climber. I like running hills and I like trail running, like running through fields and grass and kind of that type of running suits me better.
Cow fields and all that, Kent, yeah?
Yeah, love it. Absolutely love it. Where I live is there's a mountain behind me and just loads of forestry, loads of trails, all that. It's brilliant. It's far better than running around the streets and traffic and rush hour and people. Oh, it's just too busy. I prefer just to get up and run down the trails. It's far more peaceful, better air, and it's better in the joints. So I kind of like that type of running rather than being on the tarmac.
Yeah, you'll need strong legs though, anyway, Kent, to carry them balls around of yours, man. They must be massive. You must have fucking whale-sized balls, mate.
Yeah, well, I'm strong enough. I'm strong enough, Russell. So I am.
Hey, no problem, Kent. As long as you're happy, I'm all right. Uh, it's Big Phrase, the giant Karamak Easter egg. Uh, he's had a bit of a scuffle with Prince Patel. Did you see it?
Yeah, I seen it. I seen what of it. It was absolutely, to be honest with you, I suppose it's probably the only thing they're going to be talking about that card.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a next gen card, which I don't mind. I would rather watch professional boxers on a C or D level show than watch that crap that Kala promotes on the zone. But that's completely different. But yeah, I would rather watch that than any of that other nonsense. So like there's nothing really much happening in the card at all. So it's about time, you know, it's about time they got to move on with Fraser Clark. He's the whole thing with Fabio Wardley. Whose fault was it? To be honest with you, I think everyone was to blame. I think the promoter was to blame, and I think Fraser Clark was to blame. And I think if they didn't want, they said that they wanted, a 10 rounder. Well, 3 days ago it was an 8 rounder. Now it's a 10 rounder. So suppose it's been changed to a 10 rounder, but I think Fraser Clark needs to get a move on now with his career. He should have been fighting Marius Vac a year ago, supposed to now.
He seems to be more about his injuries or always got beefy or always falling out with or always a pundit with. Is he going to do any fighting? He's 32 with 6 fights.
At that level he was at in EIS as a full-time training. For anybody that doesn't know what EIS is, that's a full-time institute of sport for boxing. You travel all over the world. You get full-time. You're a full-time athlete, paid. So the experience he's getting in training, sparring, physio,
He can fight,
trips,
Kent, but he needs to
traveling.
get a move on, doesn't he? I mean, they're
He,
talking
he,
Dave
he,
Allen next, aren't they, after Whack?
he needs to get a move on now. if he's not going to be ready for a British title right now, when is he going to be ready? You know, he was training as a full-time athlete in EIS before Fabio Wardley even put a glove on. So I think it's time that they just got to move on. And yeah, he's a nice guy and all, and he's a pundit. Do you want to be a pundit or do you want to be a boxer? I think it's time he just got to move on and had a significant fight. Now, Marius Vac, we all know Marius Vac, probably one of the better level of journeymen out there. He's been in with everyone. He's lost to Dillian White. He's lost to Huey. He's lost to Kevin Lorena recently, who gave Daniel Dubois nightmares. He lost to Makhmudov. He got knocked out by Martin McCauley. He's lost to Gerald Miller, Arthur Spielga. He's lost to Povetkin. He's kind of like he's kind of just a C, probably an A, probably B level journeyman. So gatekeeper wise. So, but to be honest with you, that's the type of fight that Fabio Wardley should have been having last year. I just think it's time now that they got to move on with it.
Yeah, I do. Do you think that Fabio fights Adelaide then?
I don't really know. I didn't think Adelaide looked really good that last weekend. I don't think he's looked great the last couple of years. He looks like he's either gonna, you know, from the level of opposition he had at the very start of his career, he looked dynamite. You know, we said that he looked devastating, but since he's kind of stepped up, he hasn't looked that devastating. He hasn't been knocking guys out that way, and he hasn't been as exciting. We had that, you know, that loss to Sapolsky, the Polish heavyweight, and there's no shame in that. You know, he won that fight, but I actually thought he lost, and so did a lot of people. So he kind of hasn't looked great from that. So I personally, I don't think that fight will happen. It's either going to be on Queensberry or it's going to be on DAZN. And they're two fighters that are kind of similar stages of their career. They're both undefeated. They're both, you know, looking to challenge. They both had good amateur careers. And for a heavyweight taking a loss, they always say that, yeah, there's nothing wrong with a loss. Well, majority of the time that's true, but as a heavyweight, if you lost early, it's usually a long way to get back. So I don't know. I don't know if both camps will really want to rush it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's what about the talk about Dave Allen against Big Fraser if he beats back?
To be honest with you, I think Dave Allen needs a fight. You know, he hasn't really fought anybody in a couple of years. He needs to step up and get a win, get a good win, look good. And if he looks good in a like kind of like he's had these two compact fights against really poor opposition. If he comes back and beats somebody maybe C or D level, it would make that fight a lot more appealing. A lot more appealing.
You reckon?
It's just proven, you know, you have to earn the right. You know, it's a British title fight. You have to. This is a British title. This is not like a WBF or WBA International or WBC Silver interim belt. This is a British title. You know, it's got a lot of significance. It's got a lot of history. It's got a lot of lineage. You know, you have to earn the right to fight for that British title. You know, you don't want to see fighters get British title shots willy-nilly because everybody isn't fighting each other because they're on different networks. You want to see someone earn the right to actually challenge for the British title, i.e. an eliminator or a really good win.
Dave Allen's last 4 fights. Dorian Darch, Andrea Pesco, Milan Pavnov, Michael Bassett, all 4 KOs.
There's not one name in there at all. There's nobody there of any significance. Like
That's
one of the
boxing
guys
at the moment, isn't it? You fight 4 barmen, and then you're in it mixed for a British title and a couple $100,000, aren't you?
That's terrible. It's terrible. It's either domestic boxing has took a massive hit because of trinket belts, or is it down to networks basically not wanting fighters to fight each other on different networks? I think it's a bit of both. I think it's a bit of both, to be honest, which isn't good. You want the best fighters fighting the best fighters at their level. That's how you develop fighters. But as you say, there's no real great opposition in there. And I know Dennis will probably disagree with me on that, but if I'm watching a British title fight, I want to see somebody that's earned the right to be there, and a champion that's actually, nobly won the title there. You look at the rankings, you've got the top 10 there. It's Dave Allen's at 10, Fraser Clark, Jack Massey, Fabio Wardley. Well, you take out Joe Joyce, Derek Chisora, Daniel Dubois, Dylan White, Anthony Joshua, and Tyson Fury. You go from basically Jack Massey, Fraser Clark, Dave Allen, David Alley, Solomon Dackers, Nathan Gorman, who got iced by Wardley. You've got Steve Robinson that's nowhere near ready. Johnny Fisher, nowhere near ready. You've got Nick Campbell, nowhere near ready. You've Matty Harris, nowhere near ready. Tommy Welch, nowhere near ready. So it's a tricky predicament at the minute for promoters and the board. You got the top 6 there. Well, you've got Derek Chisora, the gatekeeper of all gatekeepers, but I think that the gate's been closed. You've got Joyce, Dubois, you've Dillian White waiting to cash out, and you've got AJ. Goodness knows what he's going to do, and Fury. Well, the less said about Fury, the better. There's a massive drop in class, but between number 7 and number 20, so right down to Jay McFarland. So it's a tricky position at the minute.
So after the top 6, right, we've got Fury, Joshua, White, Dubois, Chisora, Joyce. If you put Wardley in that 7, well, you couldn't really, could you yet? But and then you've got after that top 6, there's Wardley, Massey, Fraser Clark, David Adley, Dave Allen, Dacres, Gorman, Steve Robinson, and Fisher. There ain't any one of them that can do anything with them top 6, even though White, Chisora, Joyce are getting on, aren't they now?
Yeah. To be honest with you, it's interesting because you've got it's kind of like 2 divisions in one division domestically.
Yeah.
You've got the likes of Moses Atuma coming through as well, who they talk about is a really, really big talent coming through. So that's going to be 3 years.
I'll put him in with Dave Allen then, because David took that fight. If they want to get that Moses guy mixed, well, let's see how good he is. Dave won't be bothered as long as he gets paid. Let's see how good this kid is, because we heard all this with the bar, and he's ended up rhubarb.
Yeah, he literally can't. I heard Shane talking the other day there, and it's pretty much what we have been saying. And they asked Shane, and Shane basically said that, yeah, he does. He looks really good in the gym. He's learning in the gym the stuff that we're implementing, but when it gets fight night, it just completely goes out the window. It doesn't cross over. Yeah. So I think Shane's actually relieved they actually get rid of Dubois, because once he goes in with Usyk, he's gonna get pieced up. So he's gonna get.
Ken, listen to me. Boxing trainers don't have to like the fighters. He's not going to be relieved. He'll be cheesed off. He's just been done out of whatever his graft is, the work he's putting on. He'll not be relieved, mate. I can assure you. Sure as eggs are eggs, he'll be spitting.
Yes, you're right. He's training him. He's not training him free of his time. I know the dad is really, really hard work, and Shane probably seen this. Shane probably seen a window of probably 2 years here. So it's not like they didn't expect it to happen.
Well,
And
after that,
after
Lorona put hands on him. Cruiserweight, limited southpaw. After he dropped him 3 times, Bricktop looked at the situation and thought, I need my money back here. I need to cash him in because he's going to end up getting beat against some no mark. So what they've done, they've gone off chasing that WBA, haven't they? The USEC thing. You know, mandatory.
yeah,
We've got that now. So Bricktop's happy. He's going to get paid one more good time from the bar. And the bar's it, because he's not going to be a world champion. He's not going to beat Usyk, is he? Come on.
and the thing about it is, he's got him on a lifetime contract, so he's with Frank Warren for basically the entirety of his career, so he can dictate and control. And the thing with changing trainers is, I don't think Shane's working for nothing. To be honest with you, he has a gym, he has overheads. Dubois has that trinket belt that I call the WBA, whatever type of belt that is. You know, he's going to get a higher purse bit of that. So I actually think going to Don Charles, he's probably actually cheaper to pay. And they know, yeah, this is going to be a cash out fight. We want to take as much money from this as possible. And if that means going to a trainer to save X amount of money, they will do it. That's the way boxing works.
Yeah, well, how many trainers does Dubois now? Is that Martin Bowers?
We had Martin Bowers, who he turned pro with.
Spot week. That didn't work out, did he?
No. He's with Shane, and now he's with Don Charles.
Well, it'll be Ben Davidson next. Trying to go to Ben Davidson. He knows everybody. He's connected. He's the best.
I wouldn't be surprised if he went to Brill Cream Ben, to be honest with you. But if you as come back to the heavyweight there, the British heavyweight, it's 2 divisions in one, and the guys underneath there, it's going to take them at least 2 years to build up a resume to fight for a British title. You know, you've got Jamie TKV as well. He's 5-0. He's 29. They need to get a move on with him as well. Steve Robinson is another fighter. He's not exactly a young heavyweight either. He's 33. He's 6-1. So they could just roll the dice with him and get a chance, because it's going to get to a stage now where I don't think promoters, I don't think networks actually want to spend the money in paying journeymen to come over for them to blast out in 2 and 3 rounds. I think they want to get their value. They want to see where they're going right away, so they can invest. You know, so they can invest further on. See all this, get to 15 and 20-0 before you actually find out somebody can fight. Before you know it, they can't fight, and there's 20 purses that's been wasted. You know, 20 people that's been flown over, hotels paid for, expenses. It all adds up. So hopefully it's not too long before that lower tier and that lower phase of that heavyweight division gets a bit more experience and ready to fight for a title.
Well, it's bad for boxing, really, when we've got Chisora with 13 losses, you know, calling shots and getting big paydays, and Dylan Whiteley, who can't string a sentence together with, hanging about like a bad smell, knocking back offers. I mean, have you seen that from Eddie Hills that's just come out? He's saying that Dylan White's knocked back X amount. I've heard he's knocked back 4 million to fight Joshua.
I think he's deluded. I think Dillian White has always been deluded. I think when you go back and you look at the Lucas Brown win, that didn't sell out. That did not sell out even then. And you were scratching your head and saying, well, why is Dillian White getting so much investment here when he can't even sell out an arena? So why
It'd be interesting to see if they go for O2 for Joshua or a big stadium, because if they go for O2, it means their numbers are on the slide. Do you know what I mean? And they won't risk it if it means it's not looking so good if they go for O2, because they'll have to put a stat card on, won't they? And they'll charge top money to try and make it up. But Wembley, you know, for lack of capacity, Because they've got 60,000 seats to make up, haven't they?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? But they'll just
they've
charge
got
more
this
for
great
ringside,
excuse.
won't they? They'll charge more for ringside.
Yeah, they've got this great excuse about football stadiums. Yeah, it's the wrong time. Medically, that fight does happen. Don't be surprised in July if Joshua needs an operation or has an injury, that pushes the stadium fight away. It takes it into the winter, and that means that they say, yeah, well, he had an injury. We had to have surgery. He had to take time off, so we couldn't do an outdoor fight because of the weather. Yeah, but we've got an arena. Don't be surprised if that happens down the line. But seriously, I listened to the video that you done with Mark Tibbs. I disagree with Mark. I don't think Dillian White against Anthony Joshua is a good fight at all.
No,
It's not. No, it's not. Like,
no, it's a good. Mark said it was a good fight for them both. Yeah, it's a good fight for them. Do you know
but
what I mean? They're gonna get paid,
yeah,
aren't they? Pay per view, pay per view,
it's a
with no belt.
well, it's a better fight for Dillian White because he's already been put into orbit by Tyson Fury. He didn't win a second of any of that fight, like a second. He got absolutely put to kip by Povetkin. You know, he hasn't won a second of any of his pay-per-view fights, to be fair. And that last fight against Franklin, he looked diabolical. He looked atrocious, absolutely atrocious. So yeah, he's going to get £3 to £4 million. AJ, you know, that's just another step. I think that's even a step down from Franklin. So I do. That is even a step down from Franklin, and the Franklin fight didn't sell, and we don't know the numbers pay-per-view. Did it do anything? I personally think Franklin beat White. So he's already had that terrible performance against Franklin, and he's going to go into fight a guy that he's going to go in and fight a guy who lost to the guy that he beat last. It doesn't. Who wants to watch that? I can't see the public actually wanting to see that fight at all.
No,
It's no way. And you know, Frank Smith said during the week, yeah, it does 750 to £1 million pay-per-view buys. Is he out of his mind?
well they are, aren't they? Because they're playing with other people's money. OPM. They're not bothered, are they? They're not putting their own money in pots, are they?
No, they're not actually, and they get the gate as well. They get the gate. So, to be honest with you, I don't see that fight. Is it a smokescreen that they're talking about this fight? Is it just a smokescreen to take time away from this nonsense, this Saudi talk? Personally, I think it's just smoke and mirrors, to be honest with you.
Yeah. All right then.
Who would want to watch that? Who's going to pay 25 quid on the zone pay-per-view or take out a subscription to watch that? That's ship. The AJ ship has sank. The money train is gone.
What about David Adelaide and Fabio? Who have you got winning that?
I would have Wardley. I would have Wardley. I think he's just a wee bit more unorthodox. He's a wee bit more loose, you know, with his shots. He's a wee bit unorthodox with his punching. He just wants to knock people out. He's got a lot of power. I think sometimes David Adlai's a wee bit too measured. He's a southpaw. I think he thinks he's overthinking some of the rounds and some of the fights, and that's why they're not as exciting. Where he's 6'4" heavyweight. He's a southpaw. He can punch. I think he should just stick to maybe thinking less and just to committing to his shots a wee bit better. He's a heavyweight. So I would go with Wardley. I think Wardley's raw punching power is too much for anybody domestically. Way too much.
Yeah, I like him, David Adelaide. He's all right. Comes across as a nice kid.
He's a brilliant fight. He's a brilliant potential. I just think he needs to commit a bit more to his shots. Where you look at Wardley, he's got that raw power where he just commits to shots. Where I think because David Adelaide's had a lot more pedigree, he kind of thinks his way through stuff a wee bit more. And
What
I
about
think
Adelaide
that's
against Dave Allen?
I think that would be a good fight. I think it would be a good name for David Adelaide. I would actually fancy David Adelaide in that fight. To be honest with you, he's been busier and he's been a bit more consistent in the last couple of years than Dave Allen has.
What if he does Wardley? He'd have to fight Dave Allen then, wouldn't he?
Well, yeah, I would like to see Dave being a bit more busier. I'd like to see him fight. I want to see him fight a bit more. And as I say, if Dave Allen gets a good win, he's back in the mix. He's back in the mix again. I'll tell you what, I think Jack Massey and Dave Allen would be a good fight.
He's with Joe G now, Jack Massey.
Yeah, he's with Joe, and he's went over to Joe, and it shows that he's serious about his career and trying to take his career forward. Dennis done a lot of work with him. He got him that IBO title, and he left Dennis, which was disappointing for Dennis. Now he's with Joe G. He's training over there. He's serious about his career after the Joseph Parker fight. I think it's a fight that he'll absolutely kick himself, come back and watching it. That's a fight that he could have won. That was a really, really good fight for him to come on the heavyweight scene. And if he had won that fight, it would have been a really, really big opportunity for a big fight. I actually wouldn't mind seeing Dave Allen, maybe Joseph Parker, something like that. Now I don't think the investment is there now for Joseph Parker in the UK because he just looks so bad in that Jack Massey fight. I think Boxer have just cut their losses with him.
What about Johnny Fisher, the Romford Bull, at 9-0, 8 by way of, ranked 15, just below Adelaide, similar record. What about them getting at it?
Jack Massey and
No,
Johnny Fisher?
No, I said Johnny Fisher and David Adelaide.
Well, why not? Listen, all these guys are in the same weight division. They're all heavyweights. They're all domestic level fighters. Why wouldn't they fight each other? Yeah. You've got Fraser Clark there, you've Dave Allen, you've David Adelaide, you've Solomon Deckers, you've Steve Robinson, you've Johnny Fisher, you've Jamie TKV, you've Tommy Welch, and you've Nick Campbell, and you've got Moses Atuma. Let's get in and get at it and fight domestically.
Yeah, well, I've
Why
heard
not?
They're looking at Jay McFarlane for Moses Itamu.
Well, that's not much of a test, is it?
Well, if you can't get fights, what they're going to do? You've got to keep him out.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, it's better than bringing over some Latvian bin man,
yeah,
or some Eastern European road sweeper. So that's logical. Why wouldn't they fight? Why wouldn't they fight? And I suppose that's the problem that we've been talking about with domestic heavyweights and domestic fights. They're just not happening enough, and it's too easy now for a promoter and a manager to build a fighter and basically take a U-turn and say, right, we're going to build you up, we're going to get you world ranked, we're going to have 10 easy fights, we're going to go an IBF European or an IBF International or WBO Global, and you're straight in the top 15, and then you just wait it out, you get a chance, and then you fight for a world title. There's very little fighters now that actually go area, British, Commonwealth, European, eliminator, world title, and be seasoned and be a seasoned fighter. So when you do jump up the world honors and get a world title fight, you're not going to get embarrassed. You're not going to get exposed. You're actually ready to fight for the title. Now it's 10-0, get a global belt, and away you go. And let's see how good you are. It's a gamble. It's all rolling the dice. So why not? I can't disagree with that.
Yeah. Well, that's the top 50 then in UK. Max is not in rankings because he's been inactive. Do you think Max fights again?
To be honest with you, it's up to him, really, isn't it? It's up to him. You know, there's plenty of fights domestically. The fight out there as a heavyweight. Worldwide, globally, there's so many fights. So I suppose it's up to him. To be honest with you, if you want to fight, you'll fight. There's no way about it. There's no other two ways about it.
Yeah, where do you see Chisora's role now then?
It's kind of cringy, and he's kind of doing all this work for Saudi. He's slagging off Eddie Hearn every 2 minutes, and I'm not on the Eddie bus by all means. I'll give my opinion, and you know, you look at Derek Chisora. From Frank dumped him. Frank had enough of him. He was too up and down. He had some terrible performances under Frank. He kept coming back. And it was like, right, away you go. He had that Marcelino Nascimento. That was a terrible performance. It was a points performance. I think that was the last fight that he actually had for Frank Warren. It was a 10-round stinker. Then he joins Matchroom, and he has that terrible performance against Caballero in Monaco. Like that for me, that would be a red flag right away. It would be like, you know what, you're over in Monaco, you're getting a fortune. You brought so much chaos, whole big row this week with Don Charles. Come over with no trainer. What ambition do you have? And you got to probably pay a fortune to go and fight in Monaco. And he lost to Caballero. Yeah, like two of the judges had it a draw. One of the judges had a draw, and 2 and 1 each way. I had him losing 7 rounds, 8 rounds. It was terrible. Then he gave him another chance. Then he had that win against Takam, which was be corrected. Was it on a pay-per-view card? He had Dillian White knockout. He lost to him. He lost a split decision to Dillian White, so it was a rematch. You had another chance against Arthur Spielke. He got the David Price win, which was last minute. He had the Usyk fight in lockdown, which he would have got well paid for with no crowd. Then he had those 2 dire fights against Parker. Then he brought him out again. He wheeled him out again and had the Pulev win, which was a gift. He got a gift there. I don't think he won that. So you look at all of his you look at his last 10 fights, his last 10 paydays have all came from Eddie Hearn. So if Eddie hadn't have taken him on at Matchroom, he wouldn't have been on pay. Do you honestly think Frank Warren, after that performance, would have invested and kept putting him in pay-per-views? Don't think so.
Do you think that Chisora's got a lot of miles on clock with 300 and odd rounds?
Derek Chisora is basically a Nissan Almera with 350,000 miles in the clock.
You know, when you look at it though, Ken, right, Muhammad Ali did nearly double his rounds. So Ali had done about the same amount of rounds as Chisora when he was fighting Jimmy Ellis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In 1971, Ali fought on for another 9 years.
Yeah, and you look at it as well.
10 year.
It's not just the damage in the ring; it's the sparring, the hard sparring.
Yeah.
If you're sparring hard all the time, you're bringing over sparring partners. You're bringing over guys that are live heavyweights to spar.
Supposed to do that. I mean, all this about, well, it's all sparring. And look, you sign up to be a boxer, don't you? So you got to spar on you. I mean, I know some people don't do sparring or they do body sparring and all that. Look, you're there to fight, aren't you? You're there to be. It's like a paint sprayer saying, you know what? I'll do all preparation, but I'm not putting paint on. You know, that kind of thing.
It's like Roy Keane. It's his job, isn't it?
What to tackle?
It's like Roy Keane. I remember listening to Roy Keane about a month ago about David De Gea, and he got this stupid trophy for making a great save. And they were parading it about Old Trafford De Gea's lost Man United probably 12 points this year and cost them, probably second place in my opinion. And he gave him a stupid trophy for save of the season. And Roy Keane says, well, why'd you give him that for? He's a goalkeeper. It's his job, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose.
Same thing. You're right. You're right. And I hate it when people say whether it's a snooker player or a dart player or a marathon runner or a boxer or a footballer, yeah, I've made a lot of sacrifices to be here. Don't do it then. Go and get a job. Go and get a job lifting boxes in the factory all day. What do you want to do? Do you want to travel the world making millions of pounds or hundreds of thousands of pounds a year, or working in a factory for £10 an hour that you're not even allowed to go for a toilet break? So it's a big difference there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, Ken. It is. It's. I just wonder if Chisora's going to fight again. I mean, Dennis was telling me that the going rate for Chisora is £500,000. If they want Dave Allen fight and they're going to put it on, and I'm like, how can he command that? For a fight with Dave Allen.
He's not there. No promoter in the UK is going to make a domestic fight with any other fighters for £500,000. No one's going to watch it, and no one's going to go and see it. That whole character, that whole War Chisora character is done now. It's redundant. It's over. Yeah, he's a gatekeeper. The gate's closed. The gate has closed. The ship has sank. The train is away. I think he's waiting around for Saudi. And I personally think, say AJ does fight the next lot of months and the whole Saudi thing takes off and Usyk fights Dubois and Deontay Wilder needs an opponent. And it's like, right, okay, Del Boy, fancy it? He's waiting for something like that there. He's waiting. He's just waiting in the wings as a plan B or a plan C. And he's going to get a stack of money for it. And then he's going to sail off into the sunset. That's what he's waiting on.
Ken, could it be said that Chisora's got his tongue well up skills promotion boxing's ringer?
Absolutely, yeah. What else is he going to do for money?
Yeah, well, he could fight somebody instead of talking about it like the rest of them, couldn't he?
Well, if he wanted to fight people, he wouldn't be wanting £500,000. If you were wanting to get back and you want to say, right, you know what, I want to get active this year. I want to get 2 or 3 wins. I want to step down a level and I'm going to just get wins under my belt. I'm going to train a wee bit smarter. I'm going to try and look a bit better. I'm maybe going to try and get myself a ranking. Could possibly maybe get a title shot if I'm looking good. That's not going to happen. There's no way he's going to be able to command £500,000 to do that at any level. It's not possible. He's not serious. He's just waiting for that cash out, that last.
Well, and he just had a
fight.
cash out against Fury at Wembley and got beat. So it ain't that good enough. He got like 3 million from that. I mean, what does he want? He's got 13 losses. He's talking like Riddick Bowe. I mean, what more does he want? He's hanging around the sport like a bad smell, aka the stinkinator Chisora. Keeps saying he's going to bring wars and all this nonsense. When has he ever brought a war since he fought Dylan? And then he got tonked.
For me, you look at it. What happens is Richard said this before. That when a fighter gets a taste of a massive payday, say it's £1 million, £500,000, that's a lot of money. And you kind of get used to being at that level of money and getting it. Tyson Fury, don't think he got that for Pulev, Parker, twice. Probably got it for Usyk. He wouldn't have got it for Price, Spielga. Dillian White, the rematch, probably. Takam, no. Caballel, no.
What's a part 2, Ken?
Yeah.